Alright, it's on.
All right, listen, we're now in the loft, a temporary loft. I mean, it's a permanent loft. It's a loft on holding birds for a little while before breeding season starts, and I've moved all the reds over here. There's both reds and cocks and hens in here. Almost all of these reds are straight down out of Heitzman's old 51 blood, which was his iconic red cock. And when you studied old 51's bloodlines, it also went back into Leroy too, because of those birds going back to his original pair. That's why he liked old 51 so much, was because in its pedigree, I don't know how many times 1104 and 1033 showed up in that pedigree, but it was over and over and over again. And you couldn't get more pure old original Sions than old 51 was. And so these reds really represent some of the die-hard old Sion blood. And there's some variation in the faces. I've got some of the little hens, I've got the dove faces, and a lot of those birds came down out of hardcore, the little hens with the small faces. But I've got some that are a little more showy, with the ridge faces, like that cock does, like this cock does. That little lighter red check cock up there is very typical of many of the Heitzman Sions you would have seen if you'd have walked in his loft. Heitzman certainly had brick reds in his lofts, no two ways about it. But the predominant color of red checks that Heitzman had were red checks. And the color of red checks that he had, a lot of them in his later years had black flecking in them. And I have a lot of people that ask me, do you have black flecking in those reds? And I tell them no. And it's mainly because I don't have any of those birds that came down out of that particular, that Grizz Sion blood that he had that black flecking in them in this line. And I make red to red a lot of times, and a red to reds that don't have any of the black in them, which that means that I'm going to just keep on producing actually a cleaner red all the time. Some of the reds have got more red if you're just a color oriented person, like this red here where the red comes all the way down to her hocks. And there's some people that, you know, but most of my reds don't have that much red in them. I have some of the reds that the red diffuses on out into their flights further out. It's not, you know, when you pull their wings out, it's not just a white flight, but you also have the red in it. This red, let me pick him up. Come here, hot shot. He's a darker brick red when you get to fooling with reds. And you see what I'm talking about with the red flight, how the red goes all the way up into the wing. That also tells me he's kin to hardcore. If you're seeing that, again, if you're seeing that color coming, diffusing up in there, he's probably a hardcore bird. And he is a hardcore bird. This bird's down out of the red pair. And red pair was two red chicks that were down out of hardcore, long wings, and refuge in Chattanooga. And they were all 600-mile pigeons, and I took a red check cock out of them and a red check hen out of them, made them together, and I called them the red pair. And they raised a lot of birds that flew very, very well at 500 miles consistently. And they raised me almost every time that I got a blue check out of that red mating. They almost always flew well. 128 and 129 were two blue checks that flew well out of them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here. Just wanted you to see that I do have a lot of reds. Very typical Sion red. Got that Sion face. My reds are exceptionally good long distance flyers. 2 years ago, I mated my reds together, I mated my silvers together, and I mated my blues together, and flew them against each other, just as an experiment to myself. And I didn't have as many reds that flew against them. I forget how many birds I had. I started out with about 200 young birds. And the reds consistently outflew all the other colors. I got red back way better than I got any of the colors back. You know, just so these are more medium. These are more racer-like than the blue bars. They're more smaller. They're a little bit racier. They're a little more alert. So I just wanted you to see some of the reds that I got going on. I do have some dark-eyed, dark chestnut-eyed reds, which are gorgeous. You can almost show them. I think I raised the most beautiful red cock that I've ever raised this year, young red cock, and I raised the most beautiful red hen that I've raised in a long time this year. And I still have the red cock. The red hen's not in here, but the red cock is here. I think that's him right there. Yeah, it's him. And he's about the prettiest red cock I've raised in a long time, just for looks, just for looks. And this hen here is very classic Heitzman Sion. His Sions have that look, that face, right there. If you went into Charles Heitzman's loft 40 years ago, this is the bird you would have seen so much of. That length, that type, that head, that's a Heitzman Sion right there. Classic. You know, if Heitzman could come back alive, he'd smile and laugh at seeing that bird, knowing that there's been no change in time whatsoever. Right there is a dead Heitzman Sion. There's a dead Heitzman Sion. I mean, I'm happy to say that, you know, I've still kept his name alive. You know, some people say, well, you've survived off of Charles Heitzman's name, and I have. It's been a two-way street with Heitzman. Heitzman, I've kept his name alive, and he's helped me along too. So, you know, symbiotic relationship. But I'm very happy because he deserves all the honor in the world. It was the greatest pigeon fire. Here's a bird that's one of my very favorite, out of the red pair. And he's a classic Heitzman. I'd like to talk a little bit about him. You can see he's got that blood that I was talking about. Because just if you didn't know anything else, just seeing it in the wings, the way the color is. He's got that hardcore color. And he's one of the better hardcore young birds that I've ever bred, out of the red pair. The red pair didn't usually raise birds with this excellent conformation like this. And he happens to have also a little bit of that frill. I'm not seeing it so much right there, but a little bit of that Charles Heitzman talked about. No, I don't see it. I'll take it back. He doesn't have it on there. I have a lot of people that love these reds. And these are exceptionally good racing birds. Very good long distance flyers. That's it on the reds.